This When I Knew is a little different from the other ones we have done so far. So as of right now, we did When I Knew I Was an Addict, When I Knew I Had Cancer, and When I Knew I Wanted to Be in the Military. But this one is When I Knew I Wanted to Do Drag. So everyone, please join me in welcoming my favorite drag queen in the entire world, and I'm not just saying that, Fifi Dubois of New York City!
Hiya!
Oh my god. So Fifi, before we get too deep into this, we need to tell people how we met, because it is quite a tale, but I want you to tell your version of the story first, because
I actually feel like your version of the story is probably far more compelling than my version. But, so honestly, it's a funny story. I was doing a show at the Copacabana in Times Square. It was a different version of the show. So the show was originally supposed to be a celebrity impersonation show. And then I find out like an hour before it's also going to be a gay volleyball league reception, as well as the drag queen celebrity impersonation show.
Oh my God.
I find out it's going to be the gay volleyball thing, so I'm thinking it's just that. And then I walk out on stage, and there's a front row of random women that don't look like they belong there. It was like women. It was like you and your mom, and other women and their moms and sisters and everything. And I'm like, okay, I thought it was going to be a bunch of sweaty bears that like to play volleyball, and it was a mix. It was a lovely mix. It was a lot of fun. So I do my first number, and then the way the show usually works is we get a piece of paper that has a name of someone on it, and it's usually what we call a hot seat, which is if you've ever been to a strip show, it's where you get like a private dance on stage with a selected dancer. But our show is not strippers, it's drag queens. So I get a piece of paper, and it has someone's name on it. It doesn't tell me anything about who the person is, just has a name, and I read off the name. And you and your friends all go crazy. And your mom is sitting there looking scared shitless.
Yep.
Stop it.
Let me pick up
where... You give your version now.
I need to lead into this. So my mother, who for privacy reasons we will not reveal her name, but my mom is a lot of fun. She is a white lady that grew up in a
very white woman.
Very non-threatening, basic white woman who grew up in a very wealthy neighborhood, and so on and so on. So my mother always comes into New York City in the wintertime to celebrate her birthday. And she had been saying to me, "Oh, Sam, I really just want to go see Kinky Boots." And I'm looking at the tickets. And I mean, Adriana and Dana, you guys know this. Tickets to see a Broadway show are like $500.
So expensive.
Per ticket. Yeah. And so...
Well, that's a very popular show, so it doesn't really go on sale.
Exactly.
Like, you're not going to find that on sale, no.
Nowhere are you going to find tickets for under $450. So I said, well, geez. So I'm sort of sitting around, and I called her. I said, Mom, I really don't know if I can afford this. Like, it's winter. I don't have a lot of commission coming in. Is there anything else you want to do? And she goes, well, you know, I would like to see La La Land. And I said, Mom, you couldn't pay me to see La La Land. Now, also working in my favor was the universe, because the only theater playing La La Land was in the armpit of Brooklyn, and there was no way I was going there. So I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm looking out over New York City, and I'm going, ho-hum, what the hell am I going to do? And so then I started to really think, well, what can I provide my mother with that has hair and glitz and glam and choreography and dancing and singing but isn't $400? Oh my God, I'm going to take her to a drag show.
Yes.
So I called my dad, who is 800 years old, very conservative. I said, Dad, I have the best idea. I'm going to take Mom to a drag show, and he hung up on me. So I was like, well, whatever. So I was going back and forth. I said, well, do I do a brunch? Do I do an evening thing? And, you know, my mom can stay up late, even though she is well into her 70s. She can stay up and party like the rest of them. So I said, okie dokie. So I found a show, and Fifi, I didn't even know that you were going to be there, but I found a show, and there was a special little button that said, oh, for an additional $50, you can get our special guest up on stage. And I thought, well, let me just dig into my penny jar, because I'm pretty sure I've got $50. So I paid the extra money, and before I hit purchase, there was a 212 number, so I called. Hello, thank you so much for calling. This is Jeremy. I'm like, Jeremy, I have a question about this whole, special guest up on stage. Can you tell me about it? Oh, honey, yes, it's very tame. It's just, a feather boa here, maybe a little bit of glitter there, perhaps a fan. It's very, very benign. I said, oh, well, do you know who the performer's going to be? Oh, yeah, usually it's just a Liza Minnelli impersonator, maybe a Julie Andrews, a Dolly Parton, whatever. So I said, great, this is well worth my money. So my mom comes into the city, and I didn't tell her what we were doing. So my mom comes into the city, and I said, okay, we're going to go out to dinner, and then I have a special surprise for you. So all day, I'm videotaping her. And I'm like, Mom, what do you think your special surprise is? And as every hour goes by, I was giving her one more hint. And so right around 4 o'clock, this should have been my first hint. Right around 4 o'clock, I got a call from my best friend at the gay drag queen bar, from Jerry, whatever his name was. Samantha, I just wanted to let you know that the show has actually been moved from Boxers to the Club Copacabana. That should have been clue number one, that this is no longer going to be a little feather boa here and a fan there. This is now turning into quite the evening. So the very last clue I gave my mother was sliding her a stack of $1 bills. And she still didn't get it. So finally, at the restaurant, I slipped an envelope across the table. She opened it, saw the tickets. She got so excited because she just loves the arts. She loves drag. She loves everything. She doesn't have a lot of experience with drag, so you certainly gave her the experience.
It was a very hands-on experience, yes.
Oh, my gosh. So we're walking to the Club Copacabana, and I have this all on video. I'll post it on my thing. And I said, Mom, I have another surprise for you. She goes, what? I said, you're going on stage tonight. Cut to Fifi up on stage, full hair and makeup in what was that? Just like a bodice? Like a whole?
I think it was like a leotard moment with a bra, and it was, yeah.
It was
I don't even remember.
The total fantasy. And she calls my mom's name. And my mom is like, no, I can't do this. Now, meanwhile, my mom is wearing clogs, jeans.
I think she still had her coat on.
Yeah, she still had her coat on. She was wearing jeans, a turtleneck, a vest, and a coat from LL Bean. She had her Vera Bradley backpack. And so first, my mom's like, all right, fine, fuck it. First, she can't get up on stage. So this very, very large bear daddy picked her up and put her on stage. And so I'm looking around and I'm thinking, where's the feather boa? Now, Fifi, how many people would you say were in the audience that night?
As far as like there to see Diva Royale, like that purchased tickets, it was about probably like 15 or 20. But then there was the Bears, the volleyball team, and there was probably like 100 of them minimum.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was quite a crowd.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, Fifi puts a chair on the stage, and I'm thinking, what's the chair doing? My mother picks Lucky by Britney Spears as her song, and Fifi proceeds to give her the raunchiest, slowest lap dance I've ever seen in my life. So my mom is getting a lap dance. The crowd is going wild. My mom is like waving $1 bills in the air. At one point, she reached over Fifi to like grab your boob because I think she thought it was real. And it was fabulous. It was a moment. And then when the performance was over, it took my mom a good 15 minutes to get back over to me in my seat because all the people that were there were stopping her and hugging her and thanking her for her support. It was really cute.
It was really sweet, yeah.
That's lovely.
Well, Fifi, you don't know this. So Fifi finishes out the show. My mom was just so excited. She forgot to give you all of your tip money. So when you did your finale dance, which by the way incorporated like forte turns and a stag leap, and I lost my mind. We threw the rest of the ones on stage because we didn't know what else to do. Anyways, so Fifi ends her incredible performance. I said, Mom, I need to go to the bathroom. Would you like to come with me? She says no. So I left her alone. I come back to find there were two men in mesh neon thongs and nothing else dancing on stage. And there was my mother videotaping the entire thing and double fisting rum and cokes. With like she had the like in the crook of her arm and she's just videotaping. And I walk over. I said, Mom, what are you doing? She goes, they just have the most beautiful physiques. So
that is not a lie. Like I told you I've been stalking you on Instagram, and so my first question is, are you a professional dancer?
Yes. No, I have a BFA in dance, so I spent a lot of money to get my dance skills.
You are amazing. First of all, your body yaddy is incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But like, I noticed things. I am not a professional dancer, but I do watch So You Think You Can Dance, so I feel like I have knowledge.
Which I auditioned for 4 times.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Before I did drag, really, I had auditioned for that show, but it's reality TV. You learn a lot of things you don't want to learn through the audition process with a lot of those shows. So I kind of fell out of love with it through that process. But
because your toe points are insane.
Thank you.
Your splits are incredible. Like you go down so slow or so fast or in between and then pull yourself back up with your legs. Yeah, I don't understand.
Whatever strikes your fancy, you can do it all. And your turn,
thank you.
Your spotting, I mean, it's nuts. It's just, you are so crazy talented. How did you get into drag? What was that, like, what?
So, I mean, there are multiple versions of the story, but, like, when I started doing drag as an adult, I was in college. It was my freshman year of college at, SUNY Purchase. I was going there for dance. And they had what they call a drag contest called Fall Ball, which was it was their play. It was the queer play on homecoming. So instead of crowning a homecoming king and queen, it was a Fall Ball drag queen and king. So I heard it was a competition. I grew up as a dance competition kid, a la Dance Moms. Like, that was my whole childhood. A large woman yelling at me to point my feet all day. That was my whole childhood. So that was my upbringing. So I was like, oh, a competition for drag. I got this in the bag. I'm a very competitive person. So I was like, this is going to be so easy. It's going to be a walk in the park. Had never done drag before. Had some girl in my dorm hallway do my makeup in like 20 minutes. Bought lingerie from like a Rainbow. Borrowed a yellow freakum dress from one of my dancers that I used. Yeah. And it was I bought my wig from like Ruby's Halloween online. Like, amazing. It was all sorts of mess. I think the video is someplace. I gotta find the video. I have it somewhere. I need to post it. It's so tragic. It's literally the first time I ever did drag as an adult. And it's a train wreck. I did not win. Not even close. Because I thought, oh, I'm a dancer, so I'm just going to do a dance number and that's going to win. Not realizing there's a lot more to drag than just dancing. So that was kind of my exposure. You're fine.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think a lot of people don't realize it's more than just like somebody putting on a dress and makeup and, you know.
Well, this is something that I said to someone today. People take what they want when they first see drag and decide they want to do it. They're like, oh, it's being pretty, or, oh, it's wearing great clothes. Oh, it's just dancing dressed as a woman. Everyone takes one thing and assumes that that's all they need to do to be a great drag queen, when you really need to do a lot of different things well to be really successful at it.
Absolutely. So if you had to pick, like, what is your favorite thing about drag? Is it the community? Is it the rush that you get from performing? Is it living in the most genuine way. Like, what do you love the most about it?
It's definitely entertaining people. For me, drag is an opportunity to express my creativity and another outlet for performance. I grew up as a professional male dancer and actor, and then after college kind of just kept going with the drag thing. But being a New York City drag queen especially, people go to drag shows and gay bars to escape the mundane and escape the 9 to 5. So that's my favorite thing, is to just put a smile on someone's face and help them to let loose and be entertained by something outside of their job or their desk or their serving job or whatever it is that they do to make the money to live in New York City. So that's what it is for me as far as where I'm at right now and where I'm living.
How did the people around you react to you wanting to do drag? Like your family or your friends or anyone that you knew?
So a lot of my friends were great and supportive, but all my friends I knew through dance or through Rocky Horror or through performance or whatever, for the most part, like they went to high school with me and I went to performing arts high school. So that was all my friends. Of course, they were very cool with it and thought it was great and a lot of fun. As far as family, when I started, my mom saw pictures of me in drag, and her first question was, do you want to be a woman? And for me, that's a no. But it was a very negative kind of take on that question, which now when I look back, I'm like, oh, that's kind of horrible and nasty that was such a horrible idea to her, that I would want to be a woman or want to be trans. But not the point of the story. That she just thought that her little boy wasn't going to be her little boy anymore. And I was like, no, Mom, it's another performance thing. Think of it as another acting job or another dance role or another creative outlet for me. I always just took dance as a way for me to, drag as a way for me to present more dance, more choreography, more performance, more acting roles, that I couldn't necessarily do as a male dancer. So she eventually came around. She now buys me wigs and takes me shopping and stuff like that. But it was jarring for her. But I think that's her being a Catholic mom from New York, from Yonkers, just not understanding what a drag queen is.
Yeah. Okay, Fifi, this is going to sound weird, but I did tell you that I stalked you on Instagram. I love your outfits. I love your makeup. And I have questions about that because you're so beautiful. I feel like you could make me more beautiful and teach me. But we have a friend in common, I believe.
Do we?
I think so. If you know her, I went to college with Wendy Ho. Do you know who she is?
I do know Wendy Ho. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a female drag queen. So I wanted to ask you, she seems to be really embraced by the drag community. What do you guys think about a woman doing drag?
Well, Wendy Ho alone has created 50% of the drag soundtrack for every drag queen
I know
in America. That is her claim to fame, is that she's a drag queen, but she's also a recording artist, and she's created all these very funny parodies that every drag queen and their mother performs. So she's, by being just such a funny person who understands the gay community and understands the drag community, she has really created content that all drag performers love. And as far as other women performing and being a part of the drag community, I've always said drag is for anyone, as long as you understand and you respect the art. If you're just going to be a pretty woman on stage and call it drag, that's burlesque. That's its own thing. Or that's just being a female cabaret performer. Like Bette Midler never called herself a drag queen, but she worked in gay bars and bathhouses and things like that. And she was just a female cabaret artist, not calling herself a drag queen. But if you understand the art of drag and you're taking it and respecting it and doing all the makeup and the hair and the cinching and the padding that we all do, then I don't see any reason why women can't be drag queens or be a part of drag performances and drag community. Who's another great one? I love Holy Grail, who's based out of San Francisco. She's a really great female body drag queen. Another one is Animatronic from Scissor Sisters.
Yeah.
Started out as a female impersonator, doing shows also in San Francisco and stuff. So I think there's great female drag performers, female body drag performers out there. And there's a whole community of trans drag performers, which during the day they are women, but then at night they're drag queens. So it's I think it's the same principle to me. If a trans woman who is a fully realized woman during the day can still perform as a drag performer or as a showgirl, then I don't see why a woman can't either.
Yeah, why not?
A cis woman, yeah.
I have a question for you, Fifi. So I know that you're really well connected, and just in the drag community, and I also know that you know some people who have been on Drag Race, but I want to kind of give a voice to maybe the younger people who are really thinking about getting into drag, but they don't really know where to start, and I want to focus just on costumes. So when you're just sort of trying to figure out, you know, what you want your shape to be and how you want things to fit you, are there maybe like core pieces of clothing that you would recommend people sort of try and start with and then build from there? Walk me through that journey.
I mean, so there are different tricks and trades. Of course, I have larger feet, so there are pretty much only 2 stores for shoes that I can find, and that's Rainbow, specifically the Rainbow at 125th Street in Harlem, and Payless is the only women's shoe store that carries up to a size 13.
I only buy shoes from Payless, and people all the time are like, "Oh, those are so cute. Where are they from?" I'm like, Payless, and I had a coupon.
Christy Siriano for Payless. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what about when it comes to, you know, someone decides, all right, great. So I figured out my shoes. I think I know what dress size I am, but then you have to factor in padding. How do you sort of maybe start with padding? Is there a certain brand or?
So I make my own. And they're literally made out of foam. You can get it either like a craft store like Michael's or Joann's, not Hobby Lobby. They probably sell it, but I wouldn't buy it from there. And then
can you say why?
Hobby Lobby is a very anti-gay, horrible organization. Don't shop there.
Okay. Yeah. They're closed on Sundays, and they're just they're not supportive of it.
They're just they're hyper religious, and they don't understand that half the people that love to craft are homosexuals.
Right.
So
okay, so
the other half is women. And the other half is women, and the other half is homosexual men and trans women. So they've already whatever. So Hobby Lobby is horrible, but I get craft foam, just sheets of cushion foam that you would build pillows or seat cushions out of. You can also, a lot of people will use old couches, if they have a couch they're getting rid of, or I've had friends that have actually just stripped their couch of foam and then had to throw out the couch because they needed to make hip pads and then just bought a new couch. But you can use, any type of craft foam, and then the shape that I create is what I call the shape of Africa, which it literally looks like the continent of Africa, which basically covers from knee to hip, and then as well as rump, which is that backside, that curve, the P section of Africa.
You have a nice ass, Fifi.
Thank you.
And out of drag, you have a spectacular ass.
Thank you. I say I have a very nice ass for a white boy, but without Africa, I would not have a nice ass for a white woman. So, you know. So, craft foam to create pads. I've done socks for breast is a really easy thing to do. And depending on your shape, cinchers. I used to buy cinchers at Kmart even, or any sort of women's lingerie shape store. I did what I know, so I knew dance, so I bought dance costumes off of dancewear websites online and things like that I knew would work for me. You can also find great costume pieces at places like Rainbow or sassier women's boutiques that might have better stuff. Nowadays, everyone dresses like a drag queen to me. So I think it's a lot easier to find drag clothes in stores. You can find a J-Lo bodysuit on any street in Harlem or the Bronx, at any given time. It's so funny to me that now that's such a ready and available thing in stores.
And how do you, just a specific question, because I'm thinking about the Africa shape, how do you smooth it out so you don't look lumpy? Like, I don't wear foam, but I'm lumpy. And so I smooth it out by putting on a Spanx camisole or something.
Right.
How do you get
same
your
principle.
shape?
So when I shape it like Africa, I then carve it with scissors or with a carving knife to kind of smooth it out a little bit. And then I'll put on a pair of men's ballet tights, which are like thicker, almost like ice skater tights. I'll put on a pair of those, and then I put on a pair of fishnets to kind of get rid of any grooves or lumps, just to counteract the texture. And then I'll put my my tights or my pantyhose on top of that to then give the color that I want.
Awesome.
It's a whole like 4-step process. Other people, will put on shapewear, anything like that. I am lucky and very thin, so I don't wear a lot of corsets or shapewear and things like that. I pad out rather than cinching in, which a lot of drag queens will do both or one or the other.
I'm taking notes because I'm going to go out looking really shapely this weekend.
There you go.
So how long does it usually take you to get ready before a show?
So beginning to end to get ready, I usually like to give myself 3 hours, but that's like the whole process. That's shower, shave, makeup, tights, body, costume, hair, from beginning to end. I can do it. I've done it in as little as 45 minutes before, which is like speed racer fast, and maybe not the best result. But the funniest thing is this, I say, my drag queen friends and I, we say this all the time. Sometimes when you're rush, it ends up being the best you've ever looked, and it always blows my mind. I'm like, I had 6 hours to get ready on this day, and I looked like shit. And then I had 45 minutes to get ready on this day, and I look like Linda Evangelista. I'm so mad about it.
Fifi, I love when you go live on Instagram while you're doing your makeup. It is like the most exciting thing to happen to me all week, and I always feel so weird just sitting there watching you. And then sometimes, like, if I'm at the office, like, someone will walk by me and be like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, excuse me, that's Fifi Dubois. She's getting ready for tonight. Why are you looking over my shoulder? But Fifi, I want to know, like, for me, selfishly, green eyeshadow. I asked you about this a couple months ago. You gave me a tip. I tried it. I looked like a piece of garbage. Like, okay, what can I do with green eyeshadow? Because I feel like these jewel tones, everyone really wants to play with them, but like, unless you're one of these people on Instagram or you're Fifi Dubois, you're going to look like a piece of shit. What do we do with green?
So there are basic principles with makeup. So for eyes, I always say it's like a paint by numbers. You have your lid, your crease, your brow, and your brow bone are your 3 basic spots, and then your inner corner. So I typically will put shimmers or anything with a shine on it on my lid or inner corner, and then anything above that, I usually stay pretty much matte. So, like, if you're doing green eyeshadow all the way up to your brow, you're gonna look like Mimi. You're gonna look like Mimi Carey, Mimi from the Drew Carey Show.
Yes.
So it's just knowing what colors and what types of colors to put where is honestly the best way to think about it. So, like a shimmery green, like a shimmery lime green, I will be very light-handed with.
Okay.
Especially being a real woman, not trying to look like a hooker or Mimi from Drew Carey Show. If that's what you're going for, then more power to you. Go nuts. But even like if I do a little shimmer, it'll be like a transition color between my crease and my brow color.
Got it.
But again, like shimmers, you need to be very, very careful with, especially if you're not used to wearing a lot of colors. Green, it really colors and jewel tones, it really depends on your skin tone. If you're going for like an emerald green, I feel like that can be flattering on a lot of skin tones, but like a lime or like a hunter, it really depends on your your coloring and your eye color. Yeah.
Okay. So talk to us about, like, makeup. You know, when you're first starting to figure out what works with your skin and you're working around having a beard and you need to get rid of your eyebrows, like, where do you kind of start with that, and then what do you want to eventually work your way up to? And if you want to talk about brands, we can do that. Just talk to us about makeup and how you found what works for you.
So honestly, it took me about 4 years to get to a place where I'm happy with my face.
Wow.
Legit. And I was working like shows 2 and 3 times a week still with a horrible face of makeup. But when you're talented, sometimes they let it slide. So my usual face, I shave in the shower. Especially I find this works for women too, because I find I can get the closest shave with the heat, opening up your pores and allowing you to get a closer shave. And then I shave with the grain and then against the grain to get the closest shave possible. I know a lot of people are like, never shave against the grain. I have very fine and kind of straight hair, so I don't have curly hair that's going to get a lot of ingrown hairs. Typically, I know a lot of black queens have a problem because they have coarser hair and they get a lot of ingrown hairs, especially under the neckline. So a lot of black queens I know will not shave against the grain. Just everybody's different. But that's for me. And then when I block my brows, your skin obviously carries a lot of oils in it. So I always clean my brows with 99% alcohol before I go to glue them down, just so it doesn't have any grease or oil in it, even after washing your face. Like if I'm jumping right out of the shower, sometimes I can get away with it. But if I go even 5 minutes, I know my brows will get oily and greasy and they won't glue down because the glue products, I use Elmer's glue stick. A lot of people use a product called Prozaid, which is actually it was designed as a medical grade adhesive for like putting bandages and wounds, like putting bandages over wounds.
Oh, wow.
And that's what people use to put their brows down, especially if they're sweatier, because people like that it lasts a little longer and it's a little more waterproof, sweatproof. So yeah, I prep my brows with alcohol and then I cover them with glue stick and setting powder. And then for my beard, I actually color correct, which women are starting to get into it. It used to be kind of just a stage and kind of photo thing, but now a lot of women are doing it for daily for under eye bags. I do it for I cancel out the blue in my beard by using an orange cream underneath my makeup that keeps it from when the light hits it, the orange cancels out the blue shadow.
Oh, wow.
The dark colors. And you can do the same thing with under eye circles. You can use yellows or oranges to cancel out the blue and purple tones underneath your eyes. You can do the same thing.
I feel like the only thing that women have been told about ever is the weird green stick.
I understand that. I still to this day do not understand the green stick.
I've never
and I work at a makeup counter and people are like, oh, green stick. I'm like, oh, yeah. And so green is supposed to cancel out red. So you're supposed to use it for like rosacea or like acne or scarring. That's what a lot of people will use green or green stick for. The green stick now, like the actual product green stick, I think it's more of like a anti-oil thing than it even is like a color correction. Because I've seen people put it on and it doesn't even show up green. Whereas actual green makeup is meant to cancel out. It's a color canceling thing.
Okay.
So
you said you work at a makeup counter now?
Mm-hmm. I work there once a week. I work at a makeup counter at a costume shop. I work at for theatrical makeup.
Oh, wonderful.
Special effects, beauty makeup for like photo shoots and things like that are a lot of our clientele, professional makeup artists and theater companies, as well as special effects artists and body painters, come into that shop. But then as far as the rest of my face, it's the same principle. Like, the reason why everyone looks like drag queens now is because of Kim Kardashian's original makeup artist. Mm-hmm. Essentially making her look like a drag queen by contour. Like, most women, people are like, I want to look like that. I'm like, most women do not want that much contour or do not want to be that sculpted for the most part, because it's not natural looking. Like,
natural.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other side of it. Like, I have women that come in and they want to look like Kim Kardashian, or I have women that are like, oh, I just want to be like dewy and glowing, and they just want you to put on like lip gloss and mascara, and I'm like, well, or they're like, oh, can you do airbrush? Because people hear the word airbrush and they think of like when you used to airbrush magazines. Just because I put your makeup on with an airbrush does not mean suddenly all of your acne scars and everything are going to go away.
Suddenly that you yourself are airbrushed.
You are. I'm not putting a magazine filter literally over your face. Like, there are other things I can do, but just because I lightly blow some makeup on your face, you're not suddenly going to look 20 years younger. It's not how it works.
Damn it. See, what kind of, when you're putting your makeup on, I can tell you're sitting in front of some sort of a light. Is there like a certain vanity that you have or a certain light that you use that you really like?
I think the one that I have right now is like it's a Conair, like, I think it's Conair. It's like a ring light mirror. So it's a round vanity mirror that has, essentially a LED ring light around it. And that's what I do my makeup in front of. There's also a lot of people like, there's one called Riki Tiki Tavi. I don't know. It's basically this little, it looks like almost like an iPad.
Oh, I have that.
Yeah, that's what a lot of drag queens use.
Wait,
but they're expensive.
Yeah. I got the cheap version on Amazon.
I did too. I'm so embarrassed to admit this, but like, I live for you, basically. I sound like such an idiot, but like, I went out and I bought a little makeup light. Have you seen it? It's in my room, Adriana. You haven't seen it? And like, I bought like a whole, eyeshadow palette, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make myself look like Fifi. Of course, every morning I show up to work, and my coworkers are like, wow, so we're doing orange today.
Yeah, the other day you sent me a picture from your desk, and I'm like, okay, raccoon walk, I see.
I'm just trying so hard.
Well, my thing is, on my face, I have very large eyes, so a lot of makeup doesn't look like a lot of makeup on me, you know? Right. So I think if you have smaller eyes and smaller features and you're trying to achieve what I'm achieving, it might look like a raccoon or extreme. You might need to use smaller brushes or tone it down.
Okay, girl. All right. I will go get smaller brushes. I just got really excited. I got this palette from Marshall's for $7.99, and I was like,
just sort of piggybacking off of that, did you have like a mentor, Fifi, that sort of like walked you through the steps of whatever, makeup, outfits, proper decorum, anything like that, like a person who kind of became
Yes and no. Yes and no. So I essentially started, like I said, I started in college, so I was taking classes every day, and once I started doing drag, I did drag first, then I decided to look up how to do it, pretty much. It was an afterthought, how to do it properly. So then I started, this was back in like 2008, 2009, and YouTube was really kind of fresh and new, but there were a couple drag queens on there starting to do makeup tutorials and hip pad tutorials, things like that. So honestly, my mentor was the world of YouTube at the time.
That's amazing.
So just a bunch of different makeup artists and drag queens posting tutorials. I learned how to make hip pads off of YouTube. I learned how to style wigs off of YouTube. I learned how to do makeup, everything. It's just, we're in that age that now you can go on Pinterest, go on YouTube, go on Google, and in 2 seconds you can figure out how to do something on your own. Amazing. I mean, that's also why we now have shows like Nailed It, where people try to do things themselves and fail miserably. Which if there was one for drag queens 8-9 years ago, I would have been on it.
So I would like to talk about some show etiquette as an audience member. What could we do to make you feel a little more comfortable? Because I know there's some people because I go to drag shows a lot, and I see some people that are just crazy and like they get up and they think it's okay to like just go on stage with you.
Yeah, like grab
it. Oh God, yeah.
Like, so what are things that we shouldn't do as audience members, and what should we do to enjoy the show and make you feel more comfortable?
So, I mean, to me, it's always the same. Treat it like you would treat any other show, especially with the going on stage thing. You're not going to go see a production of Wicked and in the middle of no good deed are you going to get on stage and start trumping with Elphaba? So that's the same principle. Why would you think at this show where I'm performing for you that it would be okay to suddenly insert yourself into my performance? Unless I come to you and bring you on stage, it's one thing. I'll do things with audience participation. I don't like to do it often because people are unpredictable. So not always going to do that. As far as other things, hoot, holler, make noise, don't heckle.
Yes.
When I was young, I went to a comedy show and I heckled one performer ever, and I learned my lesson very quickly. Not because he was actually not even that good with the heckling. But I just was so embarrassed for myself afterwards. Like, if you don't think about this, are you going to regret doing this in 20 minutes or once you get to know this person? I had a woman, I was doing a game show and I was asking for people with certain things, and she said, yes, I have it. And I said, okay, bring it to me. She said, what do I get?
Oh.
I was like, this is not a barter. Like, if you want to get the thing I have to give you, do what I'm asking for. If you don't, shut up and sit down. Like,
yeah, it's so disrespectful because you put
the gag
so
is
much.
She came to me later and was like, this drag queen once was so mean to me. She was so nasty. She said this and she made fun of me. And I was like, baby, that was me. She didn't even remember. She was so drunk and belligerent that she didn't remember that I was the person that disrespected her. But she disrespected me first, which is why you got disrespected, bitch. Like, it comes full circle. It comes back to you. Yeah. So, heckling. If I invite you to put money in my breast, feel free to put money in my breast. But if I don't, a lot of times my costumes are held together with fishing wire and safety pins and a prayer. And if you pull on something that's not meant to be pulled on, it can fall apart, or that performer might not feel comfortable with you shoving your hand down their pants or their bra. If I invite you to do so, feel free. But don't automatically think, this is where my money goes, because I've seen other people do it at other drag shows.
Well, you have your boobs in my mom's face, so I think that's why she felt
I gesture. If that's the thing, I'll gesture for you to do it.
Yes.
I don't mind. And I was giving a lap dance. I don't mind her getting a little frisky in that moment. But yeah, it's just, I hate when people come to a drag show and try to make a show about them before I invite you to make it about you. That's another thing that bothers me, like screaming, it's my friend's birthday. Okay, if I want to celebrate your friend's birthday, I will ask whose birthday it is. Or if I see you with a tiara of dicks, I'm going to guess it's your bachelorette party, and I'm going to take a moment to make it about you. But I want a tiara. That is the thing that makes, I always laugh when girls are like, she's getting married, and I was like, I couldn't tell from the tiara of dicks on her head or the giant dick sippy cup that she has in her hands. Like, I gathered that, or she's wearing a giant sash that says bride to be. I could have guessed.
You like to read. Oh my God, Dave, you have a question.
Yes, I do. I don't know how much I know you're in New York, and, New York is very open-minded, and there's a very big and wonderful drag community there. Do you ever travel other places, or even online? Do you ever get harassed for your lifestyle?
I mean, I get harassed in New York City. I get harassed online. I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. So there are definitely still rednecks in Florida. So there's that. I've traveled to Arizona, Connecticut, New Jersey. I was going to Bermuda sometime this year for a show randomly. I haven't gotten an official date for that yet. And I worked on cruise ships, and when I worked on cruise ships as a male dancer, I did some drag because I'd already started my drag career. So I hosted a bunch of events, and there are a lot of Eastern Europeans that work on cruise ships, and being gay is not really part of their MO for the most part. So I've faced a lot of harassment. When I first started doing drag, I was young and stupid, and I would confront every heckler or every person that would try and say something to me. now for the most part, I keep my head down and I mind my own business. My biggest thing is, if you're not paying me to do a show, I don't need to entertain you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to entertain your bigotry, your homophobia, your transphobia, whatever it is. Yes. I don't need to if you're not giving me $1, I don't need to give you the time of day. So that's kind of my best advice to anyone walking around, or even at performances I've been heckled and said nasty things to, especially like if I've done like straight bachelor parties or weddings, because you never know what the audience is going to be, or who's going to stumble in off the street. It's whatever, but I've just known to mind my own business and you should mind yours kind of thing. Yeah. The only thing that I'll like get mad about is when people will try to sneak photos of me on the train. It drives me crazy. And my biggest thing is, if you ask, I will happily let you take a picture of me. Or if you ask and I don't feel I look my best, I will decline, but I'll tell you, follow me on Instagram or find me at these places, But don't try and sneak a picture so you can get followers on Subway Stalkers Instagram or whatever. Like, it really bothers me, because this is my lifestyle and my choice. Because the biggest thing I get, this drives me crazy. People will always say, "What the fuck?" Just those 3 words. Whenever they see me, it's young boys, men, whatever, and I'm like, the fuck is that I'm going to work to get paid probably more than you are.
Yeah,
so back the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
Like, this is in broad daylight on a Wednesday afternoon. Shouldn't you be at work?
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. Like, back up.
Yeah.
Like, I got a job. That's what the fuck, okay?
Exactly.
Walk away.
So for all the people that are thinking about, and especially the young men that are thinking about getting into drag, what are your, 3 tips for sort of just pushing through, keeping your wits about you, and being true to yourself? Like, what can people expect as they're starting to enter the community? What are some of the challenges you face, but what is the absolute reward of making this decision?
I mean, the biggest thing with drag today is marketing yourself and being seen. So especially when you're starting out, I used to just show up to parties and events in drag basically as a free advertisement. You know, sometimes I would show up to a show and someone would ask me to do a number, and I would have my USB or my CD in my purse and say, okay, play, track, whatever, or it's going to be this number, and I would just go and do a show for free just to help get my name out there. And a lot of other queens will be like, oh, well, I'm not a great performer. I don't know how to start. I'm like, just start. Like I said, for the first 4 years, I thought I did not like my makeup, especially now if I look back, or like my costumes or my hair. Just do it, because it's all a growing process and it's a constant learning curve that you're going to face to. You're not going to learn how to do something you're not doing. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't suddenly become an amazing dancer if you've never taken a dance class. It's not. It's the same thing. You just got to do it to get better. And then my biggest piece of advice, which I've given to multitudes of queens that I just only realized kind of that this is the best piece of drag advice I think anyone can give, is know your background and know your skill set. If you're a visual artist, somehow figure out a way to incorporate that into your drag. If you're a dancer, figure out a way to incorporate that into your drag. If you're good at accounting, I don't know how, but somehow figure out how to, like, take your strengths and make that your drag performance or your drag persona. If, I don't know, if you're good at styling doing interior design, somehow figure out how to do that as a performance. Just know your strengths. If you've never taken a dance class in your life, don't suddenly throw on a pair of pointe shoes and go on stage and try to act like a ballerina. It's not gonna bode well for you. And I've seen people try to do things like that, and I'm like, girl, there's a reason why you're not getting booked, because you're doing things that you don't know anything about.
So Fifi, in 2018, you won Miss Gay Western States America. What was that experience like for you?
It was honestly really amazing. So I had gone for Miss Gay New York America in New York, and I was, there were 7 contestants, and I placed 6 out of 7. I did not do very well at all. I was like, you know what? I still had a great time and I really enjoyed myself. I loved seeing all the other performers, and I was like, I can really see myself in this particular pageant system with this particular group of girls. I think I have what it takes to eventually do this right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the pageant, they sat us down and gave us critiques. I took every single one of those critiques and applied them to my package that I was taking to Miss Gay Western States America, and I won by a landslide.
That's so smart.
Awesome.
I won every single category except one. And again, there were 6 contestants, and I placed first.
Wow.
Wow.
To go from being sixth place to first place in a month.
Wow.
In the same pageant system. So just, I really had a great time. I was so flabbergasted to go again from being sixth place to first in a month was mind blowing to me. So then I really loved that experience. Then I got the opportunity to compete at Miss Gay America in St. Louis in October. And that was, again, the most amazing experience, this time out of 42 contestants, I believe, from all over America, 42 drag queens. I competed, and overall for prelim night, I placed 7th.
Wow.
Which brought me to the top 10 out of 42 girls. And then on final night, I again placed 7th out of 10.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So to go from 7th or 6th place being a bad thing to being a really amazing accomplishment for me was really, really amazing. I had a great time, and I really love Miss Gay America as a system. If you've ever seen the drag documentary Pageant, if you haven't, it's a great watch. It's from like 1996. Like a young Alyssa Edwards is in it. She's like 21. She's like 21
right.
and it's so cute. And she, the whole movie is about the Miss Gay America pageant. So that's the same pageant that I competed in, this past year, but it's a Sundance award winning documentary about the Miss Gay America pageant system. It's a really great, film.
Well, it looks
to
like
learn
you were
about drag
having
history
a lot of
outside
fun.
of Drag Race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now, bringing up Drag Race, would you ever, and you don't have to answer this, but I'm just dying to know, would you ever want to go on Drag Race?
I would. I think, for me, Drag Race is an amazing outlet and opportunity for drag performers. It exposes you. It's now made drag a household name. I remember it was only about 3 or 4 years ago, RuPaul said, someone asked, what do you think about drag becoming mainstream thanks to Drag Race? And he said, oh, drag will never be mainstream. Drag Race it's not mainstream. And now 4 years later, it is 100% mainstream. It's a VH1 series. It's won 3 Emmys, maybe more, probably more than that in this past year. I know they won at least 3 at this year's Emmys. So it's 100% a mainstream phenomenon, which is now making drag a legitimized career choice for people, a legitimate source of money, an outlet for even more people. And the fan base, when it started, it was a show on Logo. Little white girls from Michigan did not know what Logo was. And now that's the whole fan base, is young teenage girls. Is a large majority of the fan base, and like stay-at-home moms love Drag Race. And originally the people thought it was going to be this campy gay TV show on Logo, and now it's bigger than America's Next Top Model.
And rightfully so. So what's next for you? As we wrap up this interview, what is next for Fifi Dubois?
So I'm getting ready for a couple more pageants. I'm running for Miss Paradise, which is a pageant in New Jersey at a nightclub in Asbury Park called Paradise at the Empress Hotel. So I'm getting ready to do that pageant in February. And then I will be again competing for a title for Miss Gay America. So I'll be doing another prelim. I'm going to do New York. And then if that doesn't work out again, I'll probably go and do another one. It'll just depend on where that lies. But again, I would like to go for Miss Gay America in October. And then I just started doing drag dance workshops. I just started my first one this week.
Can we come?
Absolutely. Anyone's invited.
Are we invited?
It was a lot of fun. I had a really great time. other people have started similar things in other places. I know Laganja like traveled with hers that she did. So I wanted to do one local in New York for any drag performer or anyone that wanted to learn to dance like a drag queen. That's essentially what I'm teaching. It's
the only way to dance in my eyes.
It's a lot of, it was so much fun. And honestly, I only have like 2 gigs right now. So the best way to make money is to make your own money. So I'm creating opportunities for myself through this dance workshop and through other shows I'm doing. I had produced a 1-woman show at one time. I'm considering working on another one. And then I have a goal to start my own drag dance company sometime in the future. But there's, the best way to get an opportunity is to create it yourself. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Yes. That's how we made this podcast. We
Absolutely.
were like, you know what? No one else is going to pay us. I mean, Dixon Politics, which is what gave birth to this interview when I knew. And it literally came out of the fact that like all of us just kept losing jobs left and right, no matter how good we were. And the 3 of us looked at each other and we were like, fuck it. If no one else is going to be a reliable source of income, we will be our own source of income. And here we are.
Totally.
So,
drag is such a saturated market right now that the best way to get work is to create it yourself. Totally.
Absolutely. So outside of drag, outside of the costumes and the makeup, I mean, you are a person, you have a life, you have a family, you have friends. So we know what's next for Fifi, but what's next for you?
So me and my fiance have been engaged for 2 years. So we're hoping to plan a wedding. That would be nice. Still haven't done that yet. So that's somewhere in the near future. Other than that, I mean, I don't teach the dance classes in drag. So that's another thing. I also work at the makeup counter as well. But as far as outside of the career of drag is my main source of income. In my free time, I like to go to Disney World when I can afford it.
Yes, you do. You guys are so cute. All your pictures at Disney are adorable.
I'm obsessed. Yeah, we're hoping for our honeymoon to go to Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disney Sea. So I went once when I danced for a ballet drag company. I went a million years ago when I danced. I didn't even mention this. I danced for a drag ballet company based out of Japan for like a year and a half, 2 years, and got to tour Tokyo and all over Japan with that. So I got to go to Tokyo Disney with that, and he's never been, and he's a big Japanese culture and anime fan, so I think he'll have a really great time with that.
That'll be amazing. Well, Fifi, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm truly thrilled that we've kind of kept in touch over the years. And I'll tell you, my mom has a very big birthday next year, and I've already told her, I'm like, you know how we're celebrating. And then hopefully one day when I get married, I just want you to perform at my wedding.
Yes. I've done wedding receptions, and I'm actually a drag minister. Like, I'm ordained minister, so I do weddings in full drag as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I'm getting the fantasy is becoming very real for me. I think so highly of you, and I'm so thrilled that Adriana and Dana now know about you, because I feel like the whole world just needs to know about you and who you are in your heart and your work ethic and your creativity, and the thoughtfulness that you put into your craft is just, it's world class, and I'm so impressed. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you are very welcome, and we'll be talking to you soon. And thank you also for hosting Dixon Politics with us. That was a lot of fun to have.
You got it.
Can I make one request before we let you go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would like to see more of your singing videos on Instagram. Alana's Morissette was wonderful. I know, I watched it. I just want to request more, please.
I'm trying to build a little repertoire of them that I can post periodically. So I'm trying to build a few of them so that they can come out weekly.
I love it.
That's becoming a new staple, and I have a couple other things like that I'm trying to. So I have content to release on a weekly basis.
Well, you already have a big fan, and that's me. So
thank you.
Fifi, thank you again for joining us. This is really, really fun. We need to have you back. I want to make you a regular. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to make you a regular because this is just, it's so fun. It's fun. fun to talk to you, and I think the world of you. So thank you for joining us, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.